genuinely concerned with your care. At J.W. Williams Funeral Home, you are aptly served by the proprietor, president, Deacon Arthur L. Parker, who continues the traditions and values set forth by the past president, Dr. Napoleon Williams. Your announcers for the J.W. Williams Funeral Home Sunday morning program are Deacon Arthur L. Parker, Reverend Isaac H. Owens, Mrs. Calandra Wilkerson Parker, Minister Frankie Harmon, Miss Sandra Johnson, and Deacon Earl Clark, Jr.
Thank you, and good morning, friends. We come to you this morning to bring announcements, dedications, and songs. We certainly hope that your day may be brighter after listening to our program. The family of Miss Emma Jean Colson of Leesburg, Georgia. The family of Mr. Antonio McQuinn Talbert of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mr. Leroy Bass III of Cordele, Georgia, would like to thank their many friends for the food, the flowers, the condolences, and all other expressions of sympathy and kindness shown to them during their hours of sorrow and bereavement during the past week. Miss Emma Jean Colson, age 65, of 112 Shulka Court, Leesburg, Georgia, died Monday, August 8th at Wilson Hospice House in Albany, Georgia. The funeral service for Miss Emma Jean Colson was held Saturday, August 20th at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home Portico in Cordele, Georgia. Her pastor, the Reverend Jose Miller, officiated. The burial followed at the Bethel Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include her loving and devoted sons, Mr. Jason White and his wife, Mrs. Mia White, and Mr. Jamal White and his wife, Miss Chesla White, both of Leesburg, Georgia. 8 loving grandchildren, her loving and devoted brother, Deacon Willie Colson Jr., and his wife, Mother Vanessa Colson of Cordele, Georgia. Her loving and devoted sister, Mrs. Brenda Frederick, and her husband, Deacon Gregory Frederick of Cordele, Georgia. Her beloved sisters-in-law, Mrs. Ruby Colson of Cordele, Georgia, Mrs. Charlie Mae Colson of Americus, Georgia, a host of nieces and nephews to include Mrs. Tanya Colson Starks and her husband, Mr. Bubba Starks, whom she regarded as a daughter of Cordele, Georgia, a host of beloved cousins to include Mrs. Bobby James of Huntsville, Alabama, and Mrs. Marjorie Ham of Atlanta, Georgia, a host of other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends to include her special friends, Miss Gloria Barrett, Miss Mary Starks and her husband, Mr. Michael Starks, the Corbin family, and the Barrett family of Cordele, Georgia, survived Miss Emma Jean Colson, age 65, of 112 Chuckle Court, Leesburg, Georgia. Mr. Antonio McQueen McQueen Talbert, age 48, of 616 West 21st Avenue, Cordele, Georgia, died Wednesday, August 10th, at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Antonio McQueen Talbert, age 48, was held Saturday, August 20th, in the A.S. Clark Auditorium on the M.D. White's Medical Institute campus in Cordele, Georgia. His beloved uncle, the Reverend Larry James, officiated. The burial followed at the Sunnyside Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include his loving and devoted mother, Miss Phyllis Talbert, and her companion, Mr. Benny Hamilton of Cordele, Georgia. His loving and beloved sisters, Miss Yolanda Talbert and her husband, Mr. Keith Talbert of Cordele, Georgia, Miss Kenyatta Talbert and her husband, Mr. Eddie Talbert of Perry, Georgia, and Miss Tiffany Talbert and her husband, Mr. Steve Talbert of Cordele, Georgia. His beloved brother, Mr. Tommy Jackson of Cordele, Georgia, and Mr. Devon James of Albany, Georgia. His stepbrother, Mr. Sean Harris of Albany, Georgia. His loving and devoted grandmother, Mrs. Jean Talbert of Cordele, Georgia. His beloved stepmother, Miss Romana James. His beloved aunts and uncles, Miss Phyllis Jackson and her husband, Mr. Ira Jackson of Sylvester, Georgia, Mr. Willie Talbert of Cordele, Georgia, the Reverend Larry James and his wife, Mrs. Laura James of Sylvester, Georgia, Miss Janice James of Atlanta, Georgia, and Mr. Calvin James of Jacksonville, Florida. A beloved god sister, Miss Clara Chanel Evans and her husband, Mr. Antonio Evans of Cordele, Georgia. 11 beloved nieces, 4 nephews, many cousins to include Mr. Mackenzie Talbert and Miss Tamika Talbert, both of Cordele, Georgia. Miss Juanita Talbert of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, a host of other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends to include Mr. Michael Jones and Mr. Albert Shorter, both of Cordele, Georgia, Mr. Antonio Ramsey of Valdosta, Georgia, Mr. Joe Williams Jr. of Warner Robins, Georgia, and Mr. Eddie Porter of Cordele, Georgia. Survived Mr. Antonio McQueen Talbert, age 48, of 616 West 21st Avenue, Cordele, Georgia. Mr. Leroy Bass III, age 34, of 911 South 11th Street, Cordele, Georgia, died Friday, August 5th, at Riverdale Hospital in Riverdale, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Leroy Bass III was held Saturday, August 20th, in the A.S. Clark Auditorium on the campus of M.D. White's Medical Institute in Cordele, Georgia. The Reverend Isaac H. Owens, pastor of the Mount Calvary Baptist Church, officiated. The burial followed at the Bethel Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include his beloved mother and stepfather, Mrs. Avis Williams and Mr. David Williams of Cordele, Georgia. His loving and devoted children, Miss Carla Bass of St. Paul, Minnesota, and Miss Solace Barner of Cordele, Georgia. His beloved sister, Miss Latoya Bass, and her companion, Mr. LaCoria Banks of Opelika, Alabama, and Miss Shabrika Rowland of Cordele, Georgia. A beloved brother, Mr. Martavius Bass and Mr. Devian Williams, both of Atlanta, Georgia. His beloved and devoted grandparents, Mr. Leroy Bass Sr. and Miss Joanne Bass of Cordele, Georgia. A host of beloved aunts, uncles, nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive. Mr. Leroy Bass III, age 34, of 911 South 11th Street, Cordele, Georgia. Again, the family of Miss Emma Jean Colson of Leesburg, Georgia. The family of Mr. Antonio McQuinn Talbert of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mr. Leroy Bass III of Cordele, Georgia would like to thank their many friends for all of the many kindnesses shown to them during their hours of sorrow and bereavement during the past week. May God bless each of you is their prayer. The J.W. Williams funeral directors serving Cordele and Vienna were in charge of each of these arrangements during the past week. And now, it is certainly with the deepest regret that we make the following announcement. The Reverend J. Willie Daniels Jr., age 71, of 424 Pinecrest Drive, Vienna, Georgia, died Friday, August 12th at his residence in Vienna, Georgia. Survivors include his loving and devoted wife, the Reverend Joyce Ann Daniels of Vienna, Georgia, a beloved stepdaughter, Miss Tanika King of Cordele, Georgia. His beloved children he reared, Mr. Gerald Turner and his wife, Mrs. Renee Turner of Oceanside, California, Miss Adria Oliver, Mr. Chakra Lewis, and Mr. Demetrius Carter, all of Vienna, Georgia. His loving and devoted sibling, Mr. James Davis and his wife, Mrs. Joyce Davis of West Park, Florida, Mr. Burt Kinchin, Mr. Russell Daniels and his wife, Mrs. Ozzie Mae Daniels, Mrs. Watine Jackson and her husband, Mr. Charlie Jackson, and Ms. LaWanda Faye Williams, all of Vienna, Georgia. Mrs. Margaret Redding and her husband, Mr. Melvin Redding of Cordele, Georgia. Mr. Alvin Daniels of Valdosta, Georgia. Mr. Thad Daniels and his wife, Mrs. Norma Daniels of Cordele, Georgia. Ms. Ruthie Daniels of Atlanta, Georgia. Mr. Antonio Daniels of Cordele, Georgia. And Ms. Donna Faye Thompson of South Carolina. His beloved mother-in-law, Mrs. Dorothy Shorter King of Cordele, Georgia. His beloved sisters-in-law, Miss Dorothy King Minister Brenda Jones and her husband, Mr. Charles Jones, and Mrs. Rosa Howard and her husband, Deacon Benny Howard, all of Cordele, Georgia. His beloved brothers-in-law, Mr. Charlie King, and his wife, Mrs. Deborah King of Perry, Georgia, Mr. Jerome King and his wife, Mrs. Brenda King of Las Vegas, Nevada, Mr. Tony King and his wife, Mrs. Michelle King of Cordele, Georgia, Mr. Bernard King and his wife, Mrs. Cassandra King of Warner Robins, Georgia, and Mr. Randy King and his wife, Mrs. Martha King of Atlanta, Georgia. A host of beloved nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive the Reverend J. Willie Daniels, Jr., age 71, of 424 Pinecrest Drive, Vienna, Georgia. The funeral service for the Reverend J. Willie Daniels, Jr., age 71, will be held today, Sunday, August 21st, at 1 p.m. in the A.S. Clark Auditorium on the campus of the M.D. White's Medical Institute in Cordele, Georgia. The burial will follow at the Vienna City Cemetery in Vienna, Georgia. Mrs. Heather Ann King, age 46, of 1216 Blue Lane East, Cordele, Georgia, died Wednesday, August 10th at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include her loving and devoted husband, Mr. Octavius King of Cordele, Georgia, her loving and devoted children, Miss Leanna Sweetney, Mr. Ethan Paul Sweetney, Mr. Kelvin Michael Sweetney, and Mr. William Sweetney Jr., all of Akron, Ohio. Her beloved adopted mother, Miss Jean Golphin of Akron, Ohio. Her beloved mother-in-law, Mrs. Debbie King of Cordele, Georgia. Brother-in-law, Mr. Damian King of Jacksonville, Florida. Her sister-in-law, Miss Tiffany Daniels of Savannah, Georgia. A host of beloved nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Mrs. Heather Ann King, age 46, of 1216 Blue Lane, East Cordele. The funeral service for Mrs. Heather Ann King, age 46, will be announced at a later date, pending the completion of the arrangements. United States Army veteran, Mrs. Sabrina Faith Harris Wilson, age 57, of El Paso, Texas, died Thursday, August 11th in El Paso, Texas. The funeral service for United States Army veteran, Mrs. Sabrina Faith Harris Wilson, age 57, will be announced at a later date, pending the completion of the arrangement. Mr. Jesse Rowe Ferguson, age 88, of 703 Oak Avenue, Americus, Georgia, died Thursday, August 18th, at his residence in Americus, Georgia. Survivors include his loving and devoted wife of 58 years, Mrs. Ella Ruth Ferguson of Americus, Georgia, His beloved son, Mr. Jesse K. Ferguson, and his wife, Mrs. Cynthia Ferguson of Americus, Georgia, Mr. Stanley Ferguson Sr. and his wife, Mrs. Cassandra Ferguson of Warner Robins, Georgia, and Mr. Jamie Ferguson and his wife, Mrs. Remika Ferguson of Augusta, Georgia. His beloved grandchildren, Miss Jessica Ferguson, Mr. Kermit Ferguson, and Miss Shakitha Brown, all of Americus, Georgia, Mr. Lionel Brown of Atlanta, Georgia, Miss Shantae Honeycutt of Florida, Mr. Stanley Ferguson Jr. of Virginia, Miss Shaquita Ferguson of Minnesota, Miss Naya Ferguson of Colorado, Mr. Zenira Ferguson of Atlanta, Georgia, Mr. Derek Barker, and Miss Brianna Barker of Americus, Georgia. 31 beloved great-grandchildren. His loving and devoted sisters, Mrs. Irene Holland of Bridgeton, New Jersey, Mrs. Geraldine Ferguson, and Miss Helen Tullis, both of Americus, Georgia. Brothers-in-law, Mr. Willie Russell Bryant of Birmingham, Alabama, and Mr. Robert Lee Johnson of Syracuse, New York. A host of beloved nieces, nephews, many cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive. Mr. Jesse Rowe Ferguson, age 88, of 803 Oak Avenue, Americus, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Jesse Rowe Ferguson, age 88, will be announced at a later date, pending the completion of the arrangement. Mrs. Annie Streeter Thomas, age 70, of 149 Jinks Road, Americus, Georgia, died Saturday, August 20th at the Emory University Hospital in Atlanta, Georgia. Survivors include her loving and devoted husband, Mr. David Thomas of Americus, Georgia, a host of other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive. Mrs. Annie Streeter Thomas, age 70, of 149 Jinks Road, Americus, Georgia. The funeral service for Mrs. Annie Streeter Thomas, age 70, will be announced at a later date, pending the completion of the arrangement. Beloved retired educator, Mrs. Rondalyn Wright West, age 68, of 1102 South 12th Street, Cordele, Georgia, died Saturday, August 20th at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include a loving and devoted husband, Mr. Anthony West of Cordele, Georgia, her loving and devoted son, Mr. Adrian West, and his fiancée, Miss Chantella of Atlanta, Georgia, Mr. Alex J. West, and his wife, Mrs. Whitney West of Perry, Georgia, her beloved grandsons, Charvis and Ace, a host of beloved nieces, nephews, many cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive. Beloved retired educator, Mrs. Rolanda Wright West, age 68, of 1102 South 12th Street, Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for beloved educator, retired Ms. Rondalyn Wright West, age 68, will be announced at a later date pending the completion of the arrangements. The J.W. Williams Funeral Directors serving Cordele and Vienna are in charge of each of these arrangements during this week. Friends, that conclude our funeral notices for this morning. And as always, we do remind you concerning our pre-funeral arrangements planning available at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home, with packages available with a single pay, a 3-year pay, a 5-year pay, and a 10-year pay. So please stop by and talk with us concerning your pre-funeral arrangements needs available at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. And also whole life insurance is available at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home.
And now for our announcements. The Christ Chapel Unadilla Food Pantry will be open on Saturday, August 27th from 10 a.m. until 12 o'clock noon. The food pantry is located at 400 Jeanette Street in Unadilla, Georgia. For more information, please contact Ms. Jeanette Taylor. The New Poplar Springs Baptist Church invites everyone to join them each Sunday at 9:45 a.m. in person and via conference call. You may call them for the conference call at 253-993-3761 for worship service, and Wednesday at 6:30 a.m. for morning prayer, and 7 o'clock p.m. for an hour of encouragement on the conference call line. Pastor Johnny Dean is the pastor teacher. The Greater Mars Tabernacle Baptist Church invites everyone to worship with them. Today, you may join them on Facebook Live beginning at 9 o'clock a.m. A conference call, Tuesday midday prayer conference at 12 o'clock noon, Thursday prayer meeting and a Bible study at 6 o'clock p.m. The call-in number for the conference call is 229-329-7611. Deacon Arthur L. Parker is the chairman of deacons. Reverend Dr. K.M. Williams is the pastor. The St. King Baptist Church extends a cordial invitation for everybody to worship with them during their worship services. Sunday school at 9 o'clock a.m. and worship service at 10:15 a.m. You have a cordial invitation to worship with them. Reverend Woody Burnham is the pastor. The Mount Zion First African Baptist Church conference call schedule for Sunday morning begins at 10 o'clock a.m. Prayer Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 12 o'clock noon. Bible study is held each Wednesday at 5 o'clock p.m. The call-in number is 339-209-6419. Deacon Joe Wedges, chairman of deacons. Dr. Dan James III is the pastor. The Gethsemane Baptist Church invites everyone to worship with them today. Worship service begins at 10:30 a.m. Mother Mary Butler is the church mother. Deacon Johnny Wilson, chairman of deacons. Reverend Cecil Straughter is the pastor. You have a cordial invitation to worship with the New Oak Grove Baptist Church today. Sunday school begins at 9:15 a.m. Worship service at 10 o'clock a.m. Face covering is required. Deacon Alonzo Jones, chairman of deacons. Reverend W.W. Wilson is the pastor. The McAfee Grove Baptist Church, Leesburg, invites everyone to worship with them during their family night on Tuesday at 7 o'clock p.m., small class study Thursday at 7 o'clock p.m., Sunday morning worship at 9 o'clock a.m. You may join them by calling 425-436-6341. The access code is 708058. Reverend Dr. Robert L. Morgan Sr. is the pastor. You have a cordial invitation to worship at the Mount Calvary Baptist Church today. Worship service begins at 10:30 a.m., and everyone has a cordial invitation to attend. Mother Evelyn Lewis, Church Mother, Deacon Leon Spears, Chairman of Deacons, Reverend Isaac H. Owens is the pastor. That concludes our announcements for this morning.
Now for dedications. Our first election this morning is dedicated to the following: in loving memory of Mrs. Gladys Smith Denard, who departed this life July 29, 2002. Dedication requested by her beloved children, grandchildren, and the entire Denard, Martin, and Smith families. Precious memory lingers still. In loving memory of Mrs. Cynthia Horn, who departed this life August 5th, 2013. Dedication requested by the Mount Zion First African Baptist Church and Sister Dorothy Rose Jones. Gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Deacon Henry Johnson, who departed this life August 5th, 2020, and would have celebrated his birthday August 24th. Dedication requested by his beloved wife, Mrs. Inez Johnson, his beloved sister, Deaconess Carrie Brooks, and the entire family. Precious memory lingers still. In loving memory of Mother Mary E. Jackson, who would have celebrated her birthday August 6th, dedication requested by her beloved children, grandchildren, and the entire Jackson family, and the Greater Morris Tabernacle Missionary Baptist Church family, her pastor, Dr. K.M. Williams, and Deacon Tommy Ford Jr., and the entire membership. Precious memory lingers still. In loving memory of Mr. Jerry Savage, who would have celebrated his birthday August 6th, dedication requested by his beloved mother, Mother Grace Patrick, and the entire Patrick family. Gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mr. Charles Hamilton, who would have celebrated his birthday August 8th, dedication requested by the Hamilton and Parrish family. Precious memory lingers still. In loving memory of Ms. Avena Stubbins, who would have celebrated her birthday August 29th, dedication requested by her beloved children, grandchildren, her beloved mother, Mrs. Costello Levant, and the entire family, as we pause and remember Abby's gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Pastor Walter Barrett, who would have celebrated his birthday August 3rd and departed this life August 22nd, 2000. Dedication requested by Deacon Sammy Barrett and Mrs. Thelma Sis Johnson and the entire family. Gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Deacon Albert Montfrey, who would have celebrated his birthday August 7th, dedication requested by Mrs. Florine Manning and the entire Montfrey family. Gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mr. Donald Brooks, who departed this life August 10th, 2002, dedication requested by the Brooks family. Precious memory lingers still. In loving memory of Mr. Donald Patrick, who departed this life August 10th, 2004, dedication requested by his beloved mother, Mother Ida Bell Patrick and the entire Patrick family. Precious memory lingers still. In loving memory, Mr. Arthur Everett, who departed this life August 10th, 1983. Dedication requested by the Everett family. Gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mrs. Lenore Murray, who would have celebrated her birthday August 11, dedication requested by the Cobb and Hardeman family. Precious memory lingers still. In loving memory of Mrs. Gail Melissa Westbrook Dawson, who would have celebrated her birthday August 12, dedication requested by her beloved children Christopher and Calvin, her grandchildren, and her beloved mother, Mother Martha Ruth Westbrook, and the entire Westbrook family. Gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mrs. Mamie Chives, who would have celebrated her birthday August 12th. Dedication requested by Miss April Chives and the entire family. Gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mrs. Gussie Lee Davis, who departed this life August 14, 2001, and would have celebrated her birthday August 23rd. Dedication requested by Miss Mary Francis Davis and the entire family. Gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Dr. Irma Lee Smith, who departed this life August 14, 2015. Dedication requested by the beloved family, members of the New St. Stephen's Church family, and the pastor, Dr. Frankie Harmon. Gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of retired educator Mr. Benjamin Murray, who departed this life August 15, 1988. Dedication requested by the Hardeman, Cobb, and Murray family. Precious memory lingers still. In loving memory of Mrs. Irene Tamika Smith, who departed this life August 17, 2021. Dedication requested by her beloved daughter and the entire Smith and Harvey family. Precious memory lingers still. In loving memory of Mr. Willie Lee Kendrick, also known as Boo Boo, who departed this life August 18, 2021. Dedication requested by his children, his sibling, and the entire family. Gone but not forgotten. In loving memory, Mr. Charlie Cook, better known as Peter, who would have celebrated his birthday August 19. Dedication requested by his beloved wife, Mrs. Eddie Mae Cook, his children, his grandchildren, his beloved sisters, Mother Jessie Kate Harmon, and Bishop Maggie Washington, and the entire family. Gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mr. Corey Jones, who departed this life August 20, 2004. Dedication requested by his beloved mother, Mrs. Ann Jones Rouse, and the entire family. Gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mrs. Catherine Lamar, who would have celebrated her birthday August 11th. Dedication requested by the entire family. Gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Deacon Johnny James Pickens, who departed this life August 21st, 2018. Dedication requested by his beloved children, grandchildren, and the entire Pickens family. Gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mrs. Lois Carter, who would have celebrated her birthday August 21st. Dedication requested by the Carter, Epps, and Lawton family. Gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mr. Johnny Tarbert, who would have celebrated his birthday August 23rd. Dedication requested by his beloved wife, Mrs. Juanita Tarbert, the children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and the entire Tarbert family and the members of the Greater Morris Tabernacle Baptist Church, his pastor, Dr. K.M. Williams, and Deacon Tommy Ford Jr. and the Brotherhood. Our first selection this morning is dedicated to the following. Tonight, a very special wedding anniversary. Happy 38th wedding anniversary to the Reverend Johnny and Sister Deborah Dean. Dedication requested by their beloved children, grandchildren, and the entire membership of the New Poplar Springs Baptist Church of Byronville, Georgia. Our friend and brother of long standing, the Reverend Johnny and Sister Deborah Dean, their 38th wedding anniversary. God continue to bless your union and keep it strong. Happy 46th anniversary to Deacon Odell Westbrook and Sister Dorothy Westbrook, and also happy birthday to Deacon Odell Westbrook, who is celebrated his birthday on August 7th. Dedication requested by the entire Westbrook family. Our first selection this morning goes out to the following. Happy birthday to Mrs. Mary E. Lane, who celebrated her birthday on Monday, August 1st. Dedication requested by her beloved children, grandchildren, and the entire family, as well as the members of the Gethsemane Baptist Church. Mrs. Mary E. Lane, who celebrated her birthday on August the 1st. God bless you, and many, many more. Happy birthday to Mr. Irvin Lawton of Miami, Florida, who celebrated his birthday August 3rd. Dedication requested by all of his sisters, his brothers, and the entire Lawton and Epps family. Happy birthday to Miss Rose James Rogers, who celebrated her birthday August the 4th. Dedication requested by her children and the entire Rogers family. Happy birthday to Mother Mary Hall, who celebrated her 91st birthday on August 5th. Dedication requested by all of her children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and the entire Hall and Fish family. Mother Mary Hall celebrated her 91st birthday on August 5th. God bless you, and many, many more. Happy birthday to Mother Willeen McGill, who celebrated her 91st birthday on August 6th. Dedication requested by her beloved children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and the entire McGill family, and all of the members of the Emmanuel Missionary Baptist Church. Mother Willeen McGill, who celebrated her 91st birthday. God bless you, and many, many more. Happy birthday to Miss Sandra Faye Green, who celebrated her birthday during this past week. Miss Sandra Faye Green. Happy birthday to Mr. Antonio King, who celebrated his birthday on August 10th. Dedication requested by his beloved wife, his children, all of his sisters and brothers, and the entire Rogers and King family. Happy birthday to Mrs. Alberta Rogers Hamilton, who celebrated her birthday August 8th. Dedication requested by her husband, Deacon Donald K. Hamilton of the J.W. Williams Funeral Home, her children, grandchildren, and the entire Rogers family, and all of the members of the Gethsemane Baptist Church. Happy birthday to Miss Lavonda Tunde, who celebrated her birthday Tuesday, August 9th. Dedication requested by her beloved husband and the entire family and the management and staff of the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. Miss Lavonda Tunde. Happy birthday to Deacon S. Robin Durham, who celebrated her birthday Wednesday, August 10th. Dedication requested by her beloved husband, Deacon William O. Durham, and the entire family. Happy birthday to Miss Shalonda Donaldson, who celebrated her birthday Wednesday, August 10th. Dedication requested by Miss Mary Frances Davis and Mr. Justin Colbert Jr. Happy birthday to our own Dr. Frankie Harmon, who celebrated her birthday Tuesday, August 16th. Dedication requested by her beloved children, grandchildren, her beloved mother, Mother Jessie Kate Harmon, and the entire Harmon family, and the members of the New St. Stephen's Church family, and the management and staff of the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. Happy 18th birthday to Brother Broderick J. Daniels Jr., who celebrated his birthday Friday, August 19th. Dedication requested by his beloved parents, grandparents, and the entire family. Brother Broderick J. Daniels Jr. Happy birthday to Mr. Bobby Jones, who celebrated his birthday Friday, August 19th. Dedication requested by his beloved wife, the Reverend Dorothy Jones, his children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, and the entire family. Mr. Bobby Jones, happy birthday. Happy birthday to Master Rashawn Redding Jr., who is celebrating his birthday today, August 21st. Dedication requested by the Redding, Lawton, and Epps family. And happy birthday to Mr. Ray Jackson, who will celebrate his birthday Friday, August 25th. Dedication requested by his beloved cousin, Mrs. Bobby Joe Epps, and the entire Jackson and Epps family. Our first selection this morning is dedicated to the following: the Reverend Lamar and Minister Sharon Thomas and family, Deacon James Smith and family, Mrs. Valerie Mercer Ross and family, Mr. Jerome and Miss Maggie Green and family, Mr. and Mrs. Jesse Mercer and family, Mrs. Annette Putman and family, Mrs. Daphne Henderson and family, Miss Jamie Miller and family, Miss Mary Trahan and family, Mrs. Miss Mary Trahan and family, Mrs. Ethel Johnson and family, Mrs. Eddie Mae Gaston and family, Mr. A.B. and Miss Valerie Levant and family, Miss Gail Chanel and family, Mr. Lakeitha Smith and family, Miss Rena Beal and family, Miss Patricia Turner and family, Mrs. Annie Jones and family, Mrs. Carolyn Levant and family, the Reverend Dion and Miss Cynthia Jones and family, Miss Connie James and family, Miss Annette Stembridge and family, Miss Dorothy Rose Jones and family, Miss Nairobi Levant and family, Miss Annie Mae Smith and family, Miss Shaquita Woodson and family, Mrs. Willie Mae Crapp and family. Our first selection for this morning. Deepest regret that we make the following announcement. The Reverend J. Willie Daniels Jr., age 71, of 424 Pinecrest Drive, Vienna, Georgia, died Friday, August 12th at his residence in Vienna, Georgia. The funeral service for the Reverend J. Willie Daniels Jr., age 71, will be held today, Sunday, August 21st at 1 p.m. in the A.S. Clark Auditorium on the campus of the M.D. White's Medical Institute in Cordele, Georgia. The burial will follow at the Vienna City Cemetery in Vienna, Georgia. Mrs. Heather Ann King, age 46, of 1216 Blue Lane East, Cordele, Georgia, died Wednesday, August 10th at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mrs. Heather Ann King, age 46, will be announced at a later date pending the completion of the arrangements. United States Army veteran Mrs. Sabrina Faith Harris Wilson, age 57, of El Paso, Texas, died Thursday, August 11th, at a residence in El Paso, Texas. The funeral service for United States Army veteran Mrs. Sabrina Faith Harris Wilson, age 57, will be announced at a later date pending the completion of the arrangement. Mr. Jesse Roe Ferguson, age 88, of 803 Oak Avenue, Americus, Georgia, died Thursday, August 18th, at his residence in Americus, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Jesse Roe Ferguson, age 88, will be announced at a later date pending the completion of the arrangement. Mrs. Annie Streeter Thomas, age 70, of 149 Jinks Road, Americus, Georgia, died Saturday, August 20th at the Emory University Hospital in Atlanta, Georgia. The funeral service for Mrs. Annie Streeter Thomas, age 70, will be announced at a later date pending the completion of the arrangement. Beloved retired educator, Mrs. Rotherham Wright West, age 68, of 1102 South 12th Street, Cordele, Georgia, died Saturday, August 20th at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for beloved educator, retired Mrs. Rondalyn Wright West, age 68, will be announced at a later date pending the completion of the arrangement. The J.W. Williams Funeral Directors serving Cordele and Vienna are in charge of each of these arrangements during this week. Our next and final selection for this morning is dedicated to the bereaved families whose loved ones were laid to rest during the past week. The family of Miss Emma Jean Colson of Leesburg, Georgia. The family of Mr. Antonio McQuinn Tarbert of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mr. Leroy Bass III of Cordele, Georgia. This selection is dedicated to the bereaved families whose loved ones will be laid to rest during this week. The family of the Reverend J. Willie Daniels Jr. of Vienna, Georgia. The family of Mrs. Heather Ann King of Cordele, Georgia. The family of United States Army veteran Mrs. Sabrina Faith Harris Wilson of El Paso, Texas, and Albany, Georgia. The family of Mr. Jesse Roe Ferguson of Americus, Georgia. The family of Mrs. Annie Streeter Thomas of Americus, Georgia. The family of beloved retired educator Ms. Rondalyn Wright West of Cordele, Georgia. This election is dedicated to all of the sick and shut in, to all patients in the local and surrounding hospitals, nursing homes, and rehabilitation centers, to our beloved ministers and their devoted family members, to all retired educators, to the men and women serving in our armed forces, both stateside and abroad, to all veterans, and to everyone who listens to our program on each Sunday morning. It's a pleasure for us to bring it to you. Our program goes out in memory of our past president, Dr. Napoleon Williams, to my wife, Mrs. Calandra Wilkerson Parker. This election goes out to my sister, Mrs. Patsy Jackson, and her husband, Mr. Jim Jackson of Cordele, Georgia. This election goes out to my brother, retired Chief Master Sergeant Norman F. Dexter, and his wife, Dr. Gwendolyn Maxine Dexter, and their grandson, Noble. This election goes out to my mother-in-law, Mrs. Billy Ann Hall, and family. This election goes out to my nephew, Deacon Kenneth Smith, program chairman of the Greater Morris Tabernacle Baptist Church, and to our pastor, Dr. K.M. Williams, and his wife, Sister Kathy Williams, inviting you to worship again this morning with the Greater Morris Tabernacle Baptist Church at 9 a.m. Special youth observance will be held today, and goes out to each and everyone who listens to our program on each Sunday morning. Sister Easter May Sanders and family goes out to each and everyone who listens to our program on each Sunday morning. Our final selection for this morning. We're experiencing technical difficulties like every Sunday morning here, so bear with us, my friends, bear with us. Unable to get our music selections in to you, but God bless you, and we pray that you have a very safe day today on this third Sunday in August 2000.
Yes, I'm going to walk. Oh, that will keep my way. Oh, child.
Thank you for joining us this morning. We hope you've enjoyed our program. Tune in again on next Sunday morning. Remember, in your time of need, contact the competent, capable, and dependable staff at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home.
Some of these days, well,